Morning, everybody. Welcome to Social Emotional Learning class this week. And we wanted to give a special welcome to a guest speaker that we have today. Tina Mitchell is here. She's going to be talking to us about resilience, about overcoming challenges, and finding ways to learn from the things that you go through in life and to find ways to be successful. So please join me in welcoming Tina Mitchell.
Sean, thank you so much for the opportunity to share today and for the invite to be here with each one of you. And I want to thank you in advance for those of you that joined online and streaming this on YouTube for taking time out of your day to be here with me. This morning, I would like to share a story of tragedy to triumph. I will share my own story and hope that you can connect your journey in life with mine, and see that if you fight for your life, you can live the life that you want to live. I believe that life throws us tragedies so we can share a story of triumph on the other side. However, you must fight through your tragedies to make it to the other side. This morning's inspiration, you have a gift to share with the world. Please do not waste that gift. I would like to share a poem with you. This was written by Janet Gorkin, 11th grader from Brooklyn, New York. Today is the absolute worst day ever, and do not try to convince me that there is something good in every day, because when you take a closer look, this world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness do not last. And if it is not true that it is all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It is not true that good exists. I am sure that you can agree that the reality creates my attitude. It is beyond my control, and you will never in a million years hear me say that today is a good day. Now, when I read this poem for the first time, I thought that this author, and even worse, a student, was in such a bad place. However, when I got to the end of the poem, the instructions were to read the poem from the bottom up. So let's go ahead and do that. Today is a good day, and you will never in a million years hear me say it is beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I am sure that you can agree. It is not true that good exists only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it is all in the mind and the heart. And if it is not true, satisfaction and happiness do not last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if this world is a pretty evil place. Because when you take a closer look, there is something good in every day. And do not try to convince me that today is the absolute worst day ever. Life hurts. However, it is beautiful at the exact same time. What part of life are you focusing on right now today? Be very careful, my friends, because the focus where you put your focus will become your reality. And depending on someone else's space, it may also become their reality. What is your dream? If you have a piece of paper and a pen, just jot it down right now today. What dream do you have? You have a story to share with the world, and your perception on life will determine that story that you will share. Each of our lives is like a road trip. When you travel, you use a map to get from one destination to another. Even with a map, you can take a wrong turn. Along the way, there are signs with life lessons, and the road you choose will determine your life direction and your life experience. Your life is a journey of discovery, a discovery of who you are and what you will contribute to this world. Are you ready to take a journey with me this morning? Growing up, I thought I had the most amazing dad in the entire world. I was definitely daddy's little girl, and we had a bond that cannot be broken. I can see and hear as if it were yesterday, my dad and I singing and dancing as loud as we could, along with the lyrics to ABBA. Dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. These were special moments between just my dad and I. The memories I have of my dad will never fade. The magic tricks he did, the jokes he told, how he played with me for hours, and how we laughed all the time. The problem was my dad was an alcoholic and could not deal with life. However, when he was drinking, he was never mean. Instead, the alcohol just made him crazy fun. The reality was he was masking his pain and his depression. I was too young to understand the dynamics of what my dad was going through, and my mom did a great job at keeping it between the two of them to protect our bond. What a selfless thing that my mom did, keeping her pain to herself, allowing me to have an untarnished relationship with my dad. However, for my mom, she was pretty stressed out. My dad had a difficult time holding down a job. My mom did everything that she could to keep a roof over our head. She would take my little sister and me to Pike Place Market, where we'd play our violins as street performers to help pay the bills. She would dress us up in bicentennial outfits, which is a picture of me practicing my violin at my mom's house before, or my mom's friend's house before heading out to the market. The only thing that was missing was my matching bonnet. I hated that outfit. And I remember pulling my bonnet over my face in hopes my classmates made it to the market, they would not recognize me. I was embarrassed and ashamed. However, this experience is what drove me at a very young age to want to be successful when I grew up, so I wouldn't have to deal with the challenges that my mom and dad did. Do you visualize? It's a really important part of life. For my mom, when things got too stressful, she would come wake up my little sister and me, and she'd say, "Girls, grab your favorite stuffed animal in your blanket. We're going to the train station." The train station was my mom's special place. It was a place she could go to escape her reality. It was a place she could go to dream and visualize. We would get in the car, drive to Tacoma train station, where we would stay for hours, sometimes late at night until early in the morning. When we arrived at the train station, we were alone. It was cold and dark. However, it was a magical time and place. As my mom would share stories of where we were going, she would say the train was on its way to come pick us up and take us to the most amazing place. We knew we were not going anywhere because we never did. But listening to my mom share the dream that she had for the three of us was addicting. Even though we were in a lonely place, my mom had the gift of visualization, and she took us on a journey with her every night that we were at the train station. She would describe in detail the inside of the train. It was beautiful, magical, and spectacular. She would say how much fun it would be to walk from one end of the train all the way over to the other end of the train, crossing the cars as the train was traveling over 70 miles an hour. If you've been on a train before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She would describe the dining room car, how beautiful it was, and how only the most special guests could have their meals there, and how we would have all of our meals in the dining car. She'd describe the observation car, how it was from floor to ceiling and windows, and how amazing it would be to sit in the observation car and have a view of the mountains and the trees as the train was traveling cross country. My favorite part is when she talked about the sleeper cars. She would say that she saved up enough money that not only would we have a sleeper car, my little sister and I, we would share our own sleeper car, and it had bunk beds, just like a room at home. My mom's dream was so real. It was as if we were already on the train, and she just manifested her dream right there in that moment for all three of us. As an adult, I realized the train station was the time and place where I would learn the power of visualization. And visualization I credit to all of the success that I've had in my adult life. My first memory of visualization to make my dreams become a reality was when I was 7 years old in Girl Scouts. I wanted to go to Girl Scout camp so I could ride horses. My parents did not have the money to send me. I knew I was going to have to really work hard to make it there. When other kids' parents would sell their cookies for them at work and to their friends, my mom and dad would not. They wanted me to see the value of hard work. Every night after dinner, I would go door to door selling my Girl Scout cookies. I would envision the homeowner answering the door and not just purchasing one box of cookies from me, but purchasing many. And it worked. I also, my mom would say at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, we had to wrap it up for the evening. And I would beg her, please let me stay out later. And she'd say, honey, there's always tomorrow night. I also sat outside of the Safeway store, rain or shine, every Saturday and every Sunday selling my Girl Scout cookies. I would visualize the shoppers coming in and how there'd be a line of them waiting to purchase from me. And you know what? It worked. It worked because I visualized it. Visualization gave me the drive to do the hard work that's needed to reach your dreams. Not only did I make it to camp that summer, my first year selling Girl Scout cookies when I was 7 years old, I was the #1 in my city in Federal Way, selling 200 boxes. My nearest competitor, twice my age and twice my size, you can see her kneeling next to me, she only sold half as many boxes as me, 200 boxes. Now, I maintain my cookie sales success each year, beating my own record. My last year selling Girl Scout cookies, I sold 700 boxes. I also had a big dream as a young violinist. I started playing the violin when I was 5 years old. My dream was to be a professional concert violinist when I grew up and to travel all over the world. When preparing for competition, I would visualize the judges smiling in awe of my performance. I could actually see myself stepping up on stage to get my award. When my other classmates were coming home from school to play with their friends, I was coming home from school to practice my violin, do my homework, have dinner with my family, go out and sell Girl Scout cookies till 8 or 9 o'clock at night during Girl Scout season, get up the next morning, go to school. Visualization is a tool. However, you must also do the hard work for your dream to come true. Now, not all dreams come true, as this one for me did not, because I would let life take me down and take me over. I did make it to at least one continent out of the US. I was chosen to represent the United States in a world competition where I would travel to Europe with my violin in tow, competing against other amazing violinists from all over the world. This would be my last success as a child. And I would not realize success again for many years later, not until I was a young adult. All of the triumph that I have had was if it never happened, and tragedy would visit me. One tragedy after another, until I was completely broken. I would be entering a new journey in life, a journey of loss, pain, and anger. It all started when I returned home from Europe that summer, the summer before entering junior high school in 1980. My dad, that I loved so much, tried taking his life by slitting both of his wrists. Once released from the hospital, he went directly to the psychiatric ward. What happened to my dad? Where did he go? Did I do something wrong? Were questions I would ask myself. When I was finally allowed to visit him, he was there. But it was as if he was gone. His smile disappeared. The sparkle in his eyes had vanished. And the joy that I felt when I was with him was no longer present. I wondered, what could I do to bring him back? I was so lost. When he came home, he had lost his job, and if before he was not motivated to work, he was now in such a bad mental space he could no longer get hired. Mom had to make the hard decision to ask him to leave, move in with his sister in California, where he'd remain for the rest of his life. She now needed to get a job to support her 2 girls. My mom really loved my dad, and she did everything in her power to keep our family together. However, she could not. I didn't see it that way. I blamed my mom, and I would hold on to this blame for so many years. My heart cried out, how could my mom do this to my dad? How could she kick him out when he needed her most? And worse, to send him so far away to another state. When would I see him again? As it turned out, my dad would not be a part of my life. No fault to my mom. The shame for him was too much. Fortunately, I was able to reconnect with him in 2014 before he died to let him know how much I loved him. and to share what an impact he had on my life. I only wish that he could be here today to hear me share my story of tragedy to triumph. Because of my tragedy, it allowed me to triumph, and it made me the person I am today. But I was so mad at my mom, I was mad at the world, and I was so sad that my dad was gone. It seems so unfair to me, and I would let this unfairness take control of my life. What happened to that little girl that had so much belief in herself, confidence to conquer the world, and the work ethics to make her dreams come true? She was gone. How could one event, how could one day change the person as far back as I could remember and change the person I wanted to become? The answer to that question is very simple. Because I let it. I would let life take me down and take me over. That summer at 12 years old, I started drinking. I gave up all my friends. I started hanging out with a new crowd, a really bad crowd, getting in trouble, suspended from school. By 13, I was doing every possible drug I could get my hands on. I spent time in a mental health facility for troubled teens. Because of my depression and my lack of coping skills, my mom thought I was going to try taking my life just like my dad. By the age of 15, I started dating a man that was 20 years old. Could you imagine the stress that my mom must have been going through? My gosh, her 15-year-old daughter dating a 20-year-old man. Well, that man, Michael Warren Parker, would become my first husband. I married him while still in high school, a classic try at young love. And I graduated from high school pregnant. Getting pregnant changed everything for me. Before my pregnancy, I was heading down a very bad road, and I don't know how far down that road I would have continued to travel if not for getting pregnant. If not for my pregnancy, I would have never even graduated from high school. Mike, he even got a job remodeling a home in Tacoma where his services would act as rent payment. It was actually the first job that he had had since I've been with him. At least the first job that paid him legally. It was a beautiful home to start our new family together. Our baby girl, Amberlyn Parker, was born on August 29th, 1986. Amber's birth was a critical waking to my self-discovery. The love that I felt for Amber was a love I've never felt before. The love she gave back to me was a love I've never felt since. I would look into her eyes and I could see myself as her mother. All that I would teach her and all that she would teach me, I could already feel the success of motherhood. I was entering a new journey in life and magical things would be coming my way. Yet, it was not meant to be. We lost Amber to SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, when she was 4 months old, on December 29th, 1986. 34 years later, I can still remember that horrifying day when I found Amber's lifeless body in her crib. I have never felt so much pain and so much loss. It felt as if I were falling down this deep, dark hole. I couldn't seem to crawl out of it. The days that would follow, I still can't remember. I can't even remember attending Amber's funeral. I was in so much shock from this tragedy. 4 short months I had Amber, only to have her ripped away from me. And then just a few months after Amber died, Mike was arrested for an armed robbery that he had committed 2 years before I was pregnant. His past had finally caught up with him. I did not want to give up on my marriage. Mike and I had been through so much. And he was the only part of Amber I had left. I loved him so much. Why was this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? What a mean trick life was playing on me to bring me so much joy, only to have it all taken away. I felt as if I were falling off the cliff of life, and I needed to find my strength to dig myself out of the deep depression I was in. We buried Amber at Mountain View Cemetery in Auburn, Washington. It was a beautiful resting place for her. It was a place that Mike and I would go every day to grieve and to heal. However, this day was different. It was much different. I went to visit Amber the day after the police came to our house to arrest Mike and take him to jail where he would await his sentencing. As I was sitting there with Amber, all by myself, I was thinking about all the beautiful moments I had with her. That first and last Christmas that I had, just days before she died. Then I started thinking about all of the future moments that have been taken away. All the Christmases I would not have with her. How I would not even be able to celebrate her first birthday. How was I going to make it through this without Mike? I thought Mike was going to be here to help me through this pain. I thought he was going to be taken away for 20 years. I didn't have a job. I couldn't afford to pay for rent. Mike was no longer there to finish his remodeling contract on our home. So I was going to be kicked out of our house, our beautiful house that I'd built all those memories with Amber and with Mike. I was so depressed. I was thinking of every possible way to take my life. And then a miracle happened. I started to think about my dad. And I remembered back to that one day when he tried taking his life, and how that one day would completely destroy me for so many years. And in this moment, I realized I had a choice to make, a choice only I could make. I could let life take me down, or I could fight for my life. When tragedy hits, you can find strength. Strength that you didn't know that you had. Strength that you may have not realized that you had if not for that tragic event. I was going to use this strength to fight for my life instead of trying to take it. I was going to use this strength to fight for the life that I had left. My life with Mike. That day, I entered the cemetery. And I thought in this moment and noticed that there was a new headstone that wasn't there the last time that I visited Amber. This headstone had two names on it. They were brothers and they died just a day apart from each other. Kevin, he was 2 years old. And Michael, he was 4 years old. How ironic that one of the brothers' name was Michael. And then I started comparing my pain to her pain. I'd only had for Amber for 4 months when she was taken away from me. She had had Kevin for 2 years and Michael for 4. I'd only lost one child and she had lost 2 children. And I was thinking about the comparison and the strength that I now had, things can always be worse than what you think, correct? And this is where I made a decision. I was going to fight for my life. What I didn't realize in this moment were how both of these tragedies would change my life forever and shape the person that I am today. If not for the 4 beautiful months that I had with Amber, would I have ever escaped my inner demons? I would not. If not for having Mike taken away from me, making me feel as if I were left all alone in this world, would I have ever found my strength to fight back? I don't think so. Years later, I tried to find Kevin and Michael's mother with no success. I do hope to meet her someday so I can share with her how her tragedy saved a life, how she saved my life. And because of her, I am here with all of you today, paying it forward in hopes that my story of tragedy and showing you that triumph is waiting for you on the other side, I might be able to save a life as well. That day I entered the cemetery so depressed I was actually considering taking my own life. However, that same day, I left the cemetery so excited for life ahead, the life that I had ahead with Mike. I started dreaming again. My dream was so real, I could feel it, taste it, and it was as if it was already mine. I started visualizing again as the drive I was taking to McNeil Island and Walla Walla State Prison, where Mike served time in both prisons during his incarceration. I was visualizing just as I did as a little girl, selling Girl Scout cookies and competing with my violin. I could see us at the grocery store, shopping for dinner, holding hands in the park, laying on the grass, discussing our future family plans. When Mike was incarcerated, I was determined to be successful. I had more drive than I ever had before because my why behind that drive was so big: to build a safe home for Mike to come home to, a home of financial security, so Mike would not have the burden of supporting us when he was released from prison. I got a job as a waitress at Denny's when I was 19 years old, worked my way up into assistant manager, went into the hotel industry, managing a hotel for many years as a lounge manager. However, once again, I did not have control over what life was going to send me. I didn't have control over this tragedy. However, I knew I did have control of the outcome or how I dealt with this tragedy. When Mike was released from prison, 5 years later, in 1992, when I was 24 years old, his time there was too traumatic. There would be no escape for his inner demons. The stories that Mike shared with me when he came home from prison were horrifying of what truly happened to him behind those prison walls. However, he'd been home for 6 months. He never got a job. He was dealing drugs out of the home that I purchased for us when I was 20 years old while he was still incarcerated. Even though I had a safe home for him to come home to, even though my dream was so big, I realized in this moment that my dream could not save anyone but myself. Sometimes you must let your dream go, as it was not meant to be. However, I'm here to share with you today, every dream that you have has a purpose. It gives you the strength that you need to get through the most challenging times. I had grown back into that little girl that had so much belief in her self-confidence to conquer the world. I could not let anyone take that away from me, not even Mike. I had to make the hard decision to give up on my marriage, divorce Mike, and move on with my life. It was in this moment that I realized how difficult it was for my mom to give up on my dad. And it wasn't until this moment that I truly forgave her for giving up on my dad. When tragedy hits, your warrior is right there beside you. The real tragedy is not letting your warrior out and fighting for your life like my dad and Mike, and never realizing the people that they were meant to be. Mike would die of a drug overdose all alone in this world. That could have been my fate as well if I were not willing to fight for my life. Mike had his own tragedies just as I did. That's what brought us together. However, he was not able to fight through his tragedies, and he never saw his triumph. Unlike me, Mike didn't have parents that loved him, supported him, and believed in his dreams. Maybe if he did, his outcome would have been different. I often think about Mike and the difference that he could have made in this world if he were here right now today with you, sharing his story of tragedy to triumph. We'll never hear it. What tragedy are you dealing with right now today? What tragedy will visit you tomorrow? The real question is, will you fight for your life? Are you ready? Are you ready to fight for your life? Just write down something that you're dealing with right now. So after our time today, you can go back and connect that to your dream. And I promise you, it will get you through it every single time. When my marriage fell apart, I knew I had to find a new focus or this tragedy would definitely take me down. I had to find a new dream. My dream was going to be based on what I can control, which was myself. At this time, it was success. I wanted to continue to be successful. And I continued working really hard in the food and beverage industry. The owners of the Holiday Inn in Bellevue sold the hotel to a big chain. I was demoted because they brought in their new management team. My first professional tragedy. And this moment is when I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur. What would I do next? I didn't know anything but the food and beverage industry. I didn't have experience doing anything else. But I thought about the struggles that my mom and dad had keeping a roof over our head, and how purchasing my first home when I was 20 years old gave me a sense of pride and security. I knew I could be passionate about helping others reach their home ownership dream as well. And if I could be passionate in my career, I would succeed at a very high level. So I took the leap of faith, and I left an industry that I'd worked so many years to get to where I'd had. A guaranteed salary to start in a career that was strictly commission. No guarantee that I could even make my payment, my home mortgage payment, and pay my bills. However, I didn't focus on the risk of failing. I focused on the belief and the possibility and the opportunity of success. I started my mortgage career in May of 1995 when I was 27 years old. The first year, I had made more money than I ever had in the previous years in the food and beverage industry. By my second year at Wells Fargo, I made the top 50 producers nationwide. A few years later, I was recognized in Mortgage Originator magazine as the top 200 producers in the entire country, representing the top 1% in my field. That same year, I was recognized as the superstar of the month. My gosh, I'd made it. I reached a level of success that even my dreams had not taken me. After all of the struggles I'd been through, how did I even get here? I was making more money in a month than some people were making in an entire year. 2008, when I was 40 years old, I became a radio host of the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW. And when I was 42 years old, I created a mortgage software that's available for mortgage professionals nationwide. When I was 46 years old, I created my coaching program, One Time Your Business, which is based on time management and business efficiency, helping other business professionals to take control of their business so they have control of their life and they can live their dream. When I was 47 years old, I started doing all of my work in the community. Everything changed here. A whole new journey in life. When you come from a place of contribution, what you receive in return is so much more. So a shout out and a thank you again, Sean, for the opportunity to contribute today. I appreciate it. 48 years old, because of the work that I did in the homeless community, inspired me to share my story. I became a published author of Journey with Me, which is based, of course, on my triumphs and my tragedies and the success that I've seen from all of that. 49 years old, I created my Keynote, Tragedy to Triumph, which brought me here in front of all of you here today. When I was 51, I created my Live Your Dream Now retreat. This is a workshop, a 3-hour workshop focused on personal growth. If you're interested in attending my workshop, you can go to tinamitchellevents.com. You'll see the event listed there, and I would love to spend a quality time in a very special space to help take you through some really powerful exercises so that you can live your dream now. And last year, it is last year, right? We're in 2021. In 2020, I opened TM Media Agency. Since I've had my own show for over a decade, it's an opportunity to help other business professionals share their story online so they can make a difference in their community as well. What comes for me next? I don't know, but I do know I'm going to go with a fighting spirit, and I know magical things will come my way. Struggles and challenges will be there as well. However, it'll be very easy to walk right through them because of the strength that I've gained over the years. To reach your dreams, all you need is a dream. Know your why behind that dream and be willing to work very, very hard to make that dream come true. And you can reach levels of success that you may have not even thought possible for yourself. You don't have to graduate from an Ivy League college. I never went to college. You don't have to, I barely made it out of high school. You don't have to come from a wealthy family. I definitely do not. It's the dream, the why, and the hard work that really makes the difference. I did marry again. I married my amazing husband, Dave. On November 4th, we just had an anniversary, 1995. We've been married for now 26 years. Having another child of my own was not part of my journey in life, but I do have a beautiful stepdaughter, Stephanie, that I love very much. Stephanie's birthday is one day before Amber's on August 28th. She'll be 40 years old this year. Amber would have been 35 years old this year. Stephanie was actually born in Auburn, the same city that I buried Amber. And Dave and I realized that he worked for Mike's dad in 1985. He worked for Don Parker, Mike's dad, for McCann's Construction. Mike and I were dating in 1985. This was just a year before we were married. Isn't it so crazy, the connections from the life that I lost and the life that I now have here today? I do not wish for a better life. However, I am committed to being better at life. Live the life you are meant to live. Be the person that you are meant to be, and make the difference you are meant to make in this world. My personal motto is live your dream now. It is not about reaching for an extraordinary life. It is about embracing every second of your day, and through that process, you will live an extraordinary life. My wish for you is that you live your dream now. Thank you for the opportunity. Bless all of you.